Some YouTube, gonna watch some COD, Call of Duty and magic tricks. Damn, this shit is nice. Wanna see some more than sub to Matty eyes.
Got on my leather jacket thriller. The show ain't nothing iller. Man, I'm a lady killer. If I want her, I'ma steal her. I promise I could make her fly away like caterpillars. So if you don't know by now, then you should probably get familiar. My leather jacket thriller. The show ain't nothing iller. Man, I'm a lady killer. If I want her, I'ma steal her. I promise I could make her fly away like caterpillars. So if you don't know by now, then you should probably get familiar. So if you don't know by now, then you should probably get familiar. So if you don't know by now, then you should probably get familiar.
I've been through like 100 cities, signed 1,000 titties. I'm talking millions of biddies. I'm a dog, I chase that kitty. If your girlfriend is pretty, chances are I'm trying to snatch so I can slay and take her with me. Bro, I'm demanded. You not know that?
Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Matty Ice, the Call of Duty Magician, and today you guys are watching a 153-5 Penta MOAB on the map Resistance. So this is my first ever Penta MOAB, and I think I'm either the 7th or 8th person to ever get it on console. So it's a pretty rare gameplay, and hopefully you guys enjoy the gameplay in the background. Now that magic trick at the start is called the 3-card Monty. That's something that a lot of scam artists do to try to scam people out of their money, but obviously I'm not a scam artist, I'm a magician, so hopefully you guys were entertained and amazed by the magic trick. So on this video, I'd appreciate it if you guys dropped an early like. Let's try for 500 likes. 5 seems to be my magic number lately. Hit the Penta MOAB, that's 5 MOABs. Hit 5,000 subscribers, so let's try for 500 likes. Now, before I get into the commentary topic, which is progressing as a player, I want to talk about how I got this gameplay real quickly, because this is a pretty rare gameplay. You're not going to see this every day, and I think I've got a couple really unique tips that you might not hear too often on how to get Penta MOABs. So let's get into it. So in my opinion, Resistance is one of the best maps for getting multiple MOABs, getting those triple MOABs, quad MOABs, and Penta MOABs, and I think it's also the easiest map to get a Penta MOAB on. Now don't get me wrong, getting a Penta MOAB is still incredibly difficult. You have to play flawlessly, your teammates have to play perfectly, you have to have like a really strong team, the enemies have to be bad, basically a lot of things still need to go your way. So a Penta MOAB is still really tough, but I think out of all the maps, I think Resistance is the easiest map out of them all to get a Penta MOAB. So for Resistance, I've got kind of a couple unique tips for you guys you might not have heard from other commentators, and you might not even know, because I play Resistance so much. Me and Yums Crackers, all we do is we play Resistance, try to get those Penta MOABs. Sure, we vary up our maps a little bit, but whenever Resistance comes up, we always play it, and we've really got Resistance down with our team. So as for tips for Resistance, I've got some really cool ones, but first off, I'll start with the basic ones, and then I'll get into the ones that are really going to help you guys out, really going to elevate you guys to the next game, help you guys get those triple MOABs, quad MOABs, and Penta MOABs. So the basic tips, we'll go through them real quick. Obviously, you want to hold off the B flag until about 50 points. This extends the game time by about 3 to 4 minutes, and 3 to 4 minutes, that's enough time to get a MOAB or 2 MOABs, and that's the difference between getting a double MOAB and a triple MOAB and a quad MOAB, or say even a quad MOAB and a Penta MOAB. So that's a pretty obvious tip. Went over that one real quickly. Now on the left-hand side, one other obvious tip is that you don't want your teammates to look into the back left-hand corner on Resistance, because otherwise they're not going to spawn there, and you're not going to get the right traffic to get the Penta MOAB. So let's get into the real tips for Resistance. This is the stuff that you guys never hear from other commentators. This is the stuff that I figured out from playing so much Resistance, playing it over and over again. So let's get into it. Now, with Resistance, there'll be 2 routes that you run. You'll look to the left-hand side, kill a couple enemies, then you'll go up to the balcony, kill a few enemies, and a lot of players, the people that are just good players and they're not very good players, the people that are just good players, they'll look back and forth and they'll keep doing that the entire game. Now, in order to elevate your game to the next level, whether you're spawn trapping on Resistance or any other map for that matter, you really need to learn how to vary your routes, because eventually the enemies will figure out what you're doing and they'll aim down sight a random corner that they think you're going to come down just to kill you. So this is what a lot of people that run spawns don't realize. They think that they can just keep running back and forth to the same 2 spots and keep getting the MOABs, and that's why for me, Arcadon is not it's not my most successful map because Arcanine, they have the 2 main spawn points and you literally have to just run back and forth from the same 2 spawn points. But you want to vary up your routes. On Resistance, for example, you can vary up your route just a little bit and that'll confuse the enemies. So on the left hand side, once you kill a couple people, you go up to the balcony, you kill people on the top balcony, and you keep going back and forth. Now eventually the enemies figure out what you're doing. What you might want to consider doing is you might want to move into the left hand side and look across into the C flag area. Now usually I do this, I only have a vest on because sometimes there'll be snipers in the back of C that will see you there. So I go to the left hand side, I shoot into C, and that's a way that I vary up my route and confuse the enemies a little bit. Sometimes what I'll also do is I'll go back onto the balcony near C, I'll go over the balcony and overlook C, and I'll go up there, and sometimes that'll confuse the enemies as well. But the basic gist of it is that in order to raise your level to the next, or elevate your game to the next level, you can't just be running the same route back and forth, and that's what some people don't understand. Some people think, oh, I'll just run back and forth, the enemies won't figure out what I'm doing, but you really need to vary your route a little bit. That's why, as I mentioned before, Arcanine doesn't really work out for me, and Bootleg works out for me pretty well, because there are multiple ways to run routes on Bootleg, and that will confuse the enemies. One other thing I like to do on Resistance and other maps in general to kind of throw off the enemies, or if I'm feeling a little heat from the enemies, I can see they're all spawning around me, I'm hearing a lot of footsteps. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll call in one of my MOABs, and that'll get the enemies back in their spawn. That'll give me some time to regain my composure, grab a ballistic vest, and let my team get back into their position. So these are a couple little tips that I've picked up on while playing a lot of Call of Duty this summer. The first being, don't be afraid to be unpredictable. Don't always run the same rush route because the enemies will catch on to you. And the second being, if you're feeling overwhelmed, the enemies are all around you, don't be afraid to call in your MOABs. I know some people will wait till the very end of the game to call in their MOABs, but hey, if you're a few off that quad MOAB and you're feeling the heat, call in your third MOAB and just MOAB the enemies, get a ballistic vest, and regain your composure. I think these 2 tips will really help you guys, and let me know if you see some success from this. But ultimately, guys, just to conclude, I never thought I was going to get the Penta MOAB this gameplay, or just this summer in general. I thought it was going to be something I was going to struggle with the entire summer, so I am super glad I got it. So obviously, as I was mentioning before, you honestly can't play Resistance without a good team, and this team was outstanding, so I really need to give these guys a shout out. Probably one of the best teams I've ever played with. They just held this down perfectly, and so let's give them a quick shout out. We have Auto Ranger, Muscle Goon, I Love Silence, Rage Gus, Dark Factor 4, Daredevil 280, Bick for Days, and Z Bullets. Those guys have YouTube channels. I'll leave them down in the description down below. But I really want to thank those guys one more time because, honestly, you're not going to be getting a Penta MOAB unless you have a killer team, and these guys killed it. So let me just end the commentary on this note. I've been trying for the Penta for about a solid month now, coming home after work for a couple hours every day, trying to get it, and I've really had my mind set. I've really wanted to get this. After countless failures, dying a couple off the Penta, dying, 1 off the Penta, a few off the Penta, I finally got it. This is the gameplay, and so if there's anything you guys can take from this commentary, it's this. If you set your mind to something, you want it hard enough, and you're willing to put the time, effort, and hours, you can accomplish anything. But guys, my name is Mattias, the Call of Duty Magician. Drop a like if you guys enjoyed the Penta, the commentary, and the magic trick. And I'm out. Peace.
So if you don't know by now, then you should probably get familiar.
Mission accomplished. Très bien.